Hare Krishna. So today we are starting Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. It's a conversation between His Divine Grace and Bob Cohen, a Peace Corps worker in India, who later on became a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. So, introduction. Oh yeah, this is Shravanam Diaries podcast, and I'm your host, Lalita Devidasi. Introduction. A perfectly presumptuous title. 33 years have passed since I sat near the Ganges River having the conversation described in this book. Since it was first published in 1976, I've shared many copies. Often it has been difficult to explain away a title that talks about my, in quotes, perfect questions, for in 1972 I was 22 years old and quite far from perfection. Yet, my partner in conversation, Srila Prabhupada, suggested the title Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers. And he was humble about himself. How did all this perfection come about? My conservative Jewish family instilled in me an inner longing to understand God. Self-discovery and anti-war protests highlighted my college years. Though in 1971, I did manage to graduate from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute with a degree in chemistry. In that milieu of introspection and protest, I became fascinated by the Hare Krishna chant, which I first heard in the late 60s in Greenwich Village, and by the Bhagavad Gita, the primer on yoga. I learned that yoga means union with God. In quotes. The concepts of yoga attracted me, yet did not contradict the tenets of my upbringing. Still, the presentation of yoga in America troubled me. Every week, the New York Daily News ran a centerfold of the latest Indian guru proclaiming his enlightenment to the world. Who could I trust? It seemed I needed to go to the source, mystical, faraway India. After college, the Peace Corps looked like an attractive way for me to explore India, live in a village, learn the language, and genuinely check out the Gita and the chanting. India was not at all as I had imagined. Abject poverty was, I discovered, for the most part, an urban phenomenon. Though beggars swarmed through the cities, the countryside was lush with farms and peaceful villages of content people. A subtle, elusive transcendence permeated everything. After starting my assignment as a high school science teacher in Bihar, I began visiting temples, mosques, and churches. It was disenchanting. The congregations were not seeking realization. They were seeking money, good luck, and prestige. It was the religious version of the 90s TV show Let's Make a Deal. Wow. Had I traveled halfway around the world and endured Delhi belly only to find the same shallow values I had seen in materialistic America? I met various gurus but remained unimpressed. My existential search began to go up in smoke. In February 1972, I visited Calcutta during a school break. There were the Hare Krishna devotees, mostly Westerners, chanting just as I'd seen them in Greenwich Village. They invited me to visit a retreat 100 miles north of Calcutta. Deciding it fit in well with my quest, I agreed. We took a train through the verdant Bengali countryside to Mayapur, a beautiful spot near the Ganges River. Hey, we're in Mayapur right now reading this book. Anyway. Upon arriving, I discovered that Mayapur was more of a planned retreat, for now it was a recently purchased rice paddy with tents and a hut. However, the paddy was near a sacred birthplace of the famed medieval saint Sri Chaitanya, and in the hut was the founder of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness himself, an elderly gentleman named Srila Prabhupada. His followers were busy running a soup kitchen for the many refugees from the recent Indo-Pakistan war. I plunked down in the men's tent and volunteered for the food relief effort. There were 60 or so Krishna followers, mostly American or European and under 25 years old. They were enthusiastic, to say the least. Many were anxious to share their persuasion with the only English-speaking guest, me. However, I was invited to meet Srila Prabhupada, and I sensed that this was the reason I had come to India. Now, for the perfect questions part that has caused me so much discomfort. The Bhagavad Gita, the primer on transcendence, includes this admonition for a seeker. Quote, "Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they had seen the truth." Unquote 4.34 Bhagavad Gita. According to this instruction, there are 3 qualifications for the novice. First, visit the Guru. Second, inquire without challenging. And third, assist the Guru in some way. The Gita suggests that the Guru can impart knowledge when these 3 conditions are met. My intention in visiting Srila Prabhupada was to explore rather than contend. After meeting and studying many self-proclaimed instructors, I was extremely skeptical. Yet, Srila Prabhupada's followers intrigued me. Once I got past their zealousness, I found a genuine blend of mysticism and renunciation, along with convincing explications. I resolved to spend my time with Srila Prabhupada, learning rather than challenging. Later on, I could always decide to accept or reject what I had heard. In this way, I met the first and second of the Gita's 3 credentials. The famine relief program of the Krishna movement also occupied my day, so I was able to meet number 3 as well. So first, visit the Guru, second, inquire without challenging, and third, assist the Guru in some way. Bob Cohen Prabhu met all 3. From Srila Prabhupada's point of view, I was following the Gita's edicts, hence perfect questions. Meanwhile, Srila Prabhupada answered my questions based on prescription from the Gita 4.2. Quote, "This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way." Unquote. Srila Prabhupada answered my questions based on the ancient system of disciplic succession, repeating what he had heard from previous authorities and not making anything up. Thus, I had perfect answers for my respectful questions presented by a humble messenger of his predecessors. The first conversation I had with Srila Prabhupada was not recorded by his secretary. Therefore, the book begins without our introductions and initial dialogue. The first chapter. May reading my conversation with Srila Prabhupada lead you to your own perfection. Bob Cohen. Jai. Yes, I think we're going to start with the first chapter tomorrow. Today we have read the introduction, and what I really love about this book, and especially it was revealed in this introduction, is that this focus on the fact that really Srila Prabhupada did not make anything up, and in a similar way a bona fide guru doesn't make anything up. He only simply delivers what he has heard from his guru, and that goes up to the Supreme Lord himself. So like whenever you hear something, or whenever so much knowledge, so much convincing theories may be running around or flying around, but if you just question, like, did you make it up, or somebody just made it up and believes it, or is it something perfect, right? So, Hare Krishna. Perfect questions, perfect answers tomorrow. Oh, the link to this book will also be available tomorrow. So stay tuned, and we shall see you next time. Hare Krishna.